let's get things going with this, our very first fight in the School of Hard Knocks. It's in the 140-pound division and is brought to you by Power Dodge. And now, let's meet the fighters. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome HK21.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Spectra Center live from Estevan, Saskatchewan. You are watching the School of Hard Knocks 21, a presentation of the Hard Knocks Fighting Championship. My name is Ryan Valentine alongside Jeremy Valentine. We're going to bring you all the action from cage side here tonight. An exciting night of fights here.
Yeah, great night of fights scheduled. We have 17 on the go right here. Of course, what happened to be back in Estevan, Saskatchewan, great place, and they have packed this place. It is, I think that the last time we came here, they said it was the second most amount of people in Estevan put together in one place, and we're happy to be back here.
Yeah, a lot of folks coming out to see us here tonight in Estevan, and here to see guys like Keith Katona, the 2-0 amateur out of Winnipeg, Manitoba, from the Winnipeg Academy of Mixed Martial Arts, weighed in at 140 pounds last night, just 21 years old, and a very impressive start to his MMA career.
2-0 as an amateur to start off. He has one win fight by submission, and he has one win fight where he broke his opponent's arm. So good start for Keith Katona in his career. You know, his first fight, you know, it went well for him, and hopefully this one can continue to go forward for him.
Yeah, like I mentioned, 2-0 as an amateur. Talked to him about being the curtain jerker tonight and the first guy out and involved in the first fight, and he said that that's a good thing for him because it means that there is no additional pressure and he doesn't have to sit in the locker room and wait for his fight to come about. He can just get it out of the way early, and now we'll get set to hear from Doug Denance on who his opponent will be.
And this is Ron Carrier.
Ron Carrier, like I said, coming in at 140 pounds, training off and on for about a year, and again, you can see the countenance on him, a little bit different than your traditional, no kind of spastic energy or running around the cage at all.
The official Hard Knock Fighter introductions. First, fighting out of the Power Dodge blue corner, with a record of 2-0. He weighed in at 140 pounds. Fighting out of the Winnipeg Academy of Mixed Martial Arts, please welcome Hard Knocks fighter, Keith Katona! And his opponent, in the Boston Pizza red corner, it is a debut fight, weighing in at 141 pounds. Fighting as an independent out of Estevan, please welcome Hard Knocks fighter, Ron Carrier! The referee in charge of the Hard Knocks fight is Mark Aparicio.
So Mark Aparicio in charge of the action, as he will be quite frequently throughout these 17 fights that we have on the card tonight here at Hard Knocks 21. Both fighters appear to be ready. No last-minute instructions required. Both fighters are ready. The cage door is closed, and we are underway with Hard Knocks 21 from Estevan, Saskatchewan. Carrier comes out with a couple of jabs early, maybe trying to find his range. Katona responds with the swinging right.
Yeah, Katona looks very comfortable here, and a good swing there, and now going into contact. Trying for the takedown was Ron Carrier, but ending up on his back, and now in the mount is Keith Katona.
Now you'll remember in a lot of Hard Knocks fights in Calgary, where we're based and a lot of our earlier events took place, no strikes to the head of a downed opponent. Here, that's not the case. Just no knees or elbows to the head of a downed opponent, or no knees or strikes, no knees or elbows to the head of an opponent at all, standing or on the ground. And you can see this ground and pound already taking effect as Keith Katona is putting on a clinic here in the early going of how to find a dominant position, and not having the full training maybe hurting Ron Carrier here.
Well, and it's just a question of experience. And when you're independent, you don't get a chance to train as often with your opponents, so you don't end up in the situations. It's very difficult to, by yourself, work on being on your back with somebody on top of you punching you in the face. And you look at the overhead camera here as he continues to push down with the forearm there. Now, it's not an elbow, that's more of a strike motion, so he's able to push down, and a nice right hand there by Keith Katona.
And again, Carrier in a little bit of trouble here, not much in the way of ground defense. Holding down Katona now, looks like he's grabbed his head in there, but more of a desperation move, I think, than an attempt to get an advance in his position. It really seems like Carrier's feeling some pain here. You can see the grimace on his face as Katona continues to work, as he has done for the duration here of round number 1.
It wouldn't surprise me here if Katona is going to try for a submission, that all of this other stuff that's going on right now is just for him trying to set up his submission. We talked about his submission game earlier on, a little bit of a wrestling cradle looking like here by Katona, but in rear naked choke, and that is it. It's over. It was an instantaneous tap.
Yeah, not a difficult decision for Carrier. He'll have to go back to the drawing board. Keith Katona, mind you, now moves to 3-0 in his amateur career, and he will continue along and continues the tradition of the WAMA Boys. WAMA, a well-regarded gym here in the Hard Knocks Fighting Championship. Nothing but success for the Winnipeg Academy of Mixed Martial Arts.
Yeah, great impressive performance by Katona. I don't think that he was challenged at all in this fight. But Carrier can go back to the drawing board and perhaps find that balance that I was talking about earlier, get into a gym where he can train against guys his own size more often, and so he can get used to those situations and know what to do there. He didn't look like he was defending very actively with his legs at all. Did eventually get a half guard, but immediately was slipped off by Katona. And Katona, 21 years old, 3-0 as an amateur, so great start for him, and hopefully he can continue forward and perhaps maybe move on to be a professional super soon.
And now we'll just wait the official decision.
So it looks like our official decision is in. We're going to go to Doug Denance, who's in the center of the cage.
Hard Knocks fans, a special thank you goes out to Esteban EMS, the official ambulance for the School of Hard Knocks Esteban event, for helping to keep all of our Hard Knocks fighters safe in their competition. And now, for the official decision, brought to you by Power Dodge. The winner, by tap out with rear naked choke in the blue corner, Keith Katona!
Keith Katona pushing his amateur record to 3-0. He's with Ryan.
Center of the cage here. Looks like you came in, worked your game plan, got the takedown, were able to secure the finish.
Yeah, the plan was just to take it wherever it went, and it felt good.
Now, obviously, you were able to secure the rear naked choke. Not sure if we have the replay up and running yet, but we should momentarily. When we get it, we'll get you to walk us through the finish. But in the meantime, I'm sure you got coaches and sponsors to thank.
Yeah, I'd like to thank my coaches at WAMA and United Boxing, as well as, I guess I should say hi to my mom who's watching from home. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed it.
All right, and I think we might have the replay queued up here, and we should be able to get to that. You can walk us through the finish of the fight here momentarily. There we go.
Well, as you can see, I'm standing there. I'm pretty happy.
So a sense of humor and some skills. Ladies and gentlemen, one more time for your winner, Keith Katona.
To find out more about Hard Knocks Fighting and upcoming Hard Knocks events, please visit hardknocksfighting.com.
This School of Hard Knocks 5 is in the 170-pound division. It is brought to you by EML Hot Shot. And now, let's meet the fighters! Welcome, Danny Heathen!
So Denny Heathen comes down to the cage out of Cranked MMA, 4-2-1 as an amateur, a very experienced fight. His opponent 3-4, both of them looking to continue their amateur record, and they've fought before, Jeremy, with Heathen coming out on top.
Yeah, he won by technical knockout, and he knows, and it's a good thing that these guys have fought before, because you look at Danny Heathen mentions that he has a game plan. He knows Corey wants to take it to the ground, and so he wants to stay standing in this fight. Feels that's where he has the advantage.
Yeah, 2 of his wins by TKO, 1 submission, and his losses have come by submission. So he knows that he doesn't want to go to the ground, considers himself more of a freestyle fighter.
Yeah, and everybody's got a style. Some are jiu-jitsu specialists, some are Muay Thai, some are wrestlers, but some people like to train, and they have the general knowledge on all of those things. And Danny Heathen, one of those people, wants to be and says that he is a freestyle fighter, and he trained 3 months for this fight in that specific style. Just a little bit of everything to have a well-rounded game.
Again, Danny Heathen weighed in last night at 170 pounds, just 23 years old, standing 6 feet tall as he gets set to step into the cage and try and improve his record to 5-2-1. Jeremy, we talk about all the time on Hard Knocks about how, as an amateur, it doesn't matter if you win or lose. However, if you're piling up wins, that's never a bad thing, and Danny's been able to do that in the early going of his career here.
Well, a lot of times it's about confidence. You look at the top 10 guys in each weight class in the UFC, and other than the champions, Ian Anderson Silva and George St. Pierre, and some of the other ones that have just cleaned out the weight class, a lot of the decisions can be based on who's better that day, and confidence comes into that. If you have a high record like this, you're going to come in confident. If you've got a low record, you might not necessarily think that you're able to be up to that level.
His opponent, Corey Atkinson.
So Corey Atkinson comes down to the cage out of Team Next in Humboldt, Saskatchewan. Also weighed in at 170 pounds last night. Coming in off a loss by referee stoppage. Has also lost a couple by submission. Looking to get his record back to 500 as an amateur.
Yeah, and Corey Atkinson is someone who likes to work the ground game, and he knows that's where he needs to take it. We talked about Heathen having that advantage of knowing that he wants to keep it standing. Atkinson also has that advantage and knows how he wasn't successful last time and what to specifically work on, and how Heathen was able to stop him. He's watched a lot of tape on Danny Heathen and hopes that that studying has added to his ability to be able to execute his own game plan.
Well, and it's interesting, Jeremy, you say he wants to go to the ground, but he was also very clear to point out that he knows every fight starts on the feet, and he's going to have to earn that takedown, and says that his striking at this point in his career, merely average. Says it's not the best that you're going to see tonight, certainly, but not the worst you might see either, but knows that getting to the ground is the key to his success.
Well, and he feels that after watching those tapes that I mentioned, that he's found some holes in his opponent's game plan. And yes, with improved striking, that's going to make him a little more dangerous. But hopefully for him, he can execute his own game plan. Here's Doug Denance with the official announcements.
And now, the official Hard Knocks fighter introductions. First, in the Power Dodge blue corner, with a record of 4-2-1. He weighed in at 171 pounds, Fighting out of Cranked MMA in Prince Albert, please welcome Hard Knocks fighter, Danny Heathen! And his opponent in the Boston Pizza red corner with a record of 3-4 and weighing in at 169 1/2 pounds. Fighting out of Team Nats here in Saskatchewan, please welcome Hard Knocks fighter, Corey Atkinson! The referee in charge of the Hard Knocks action is Mark Aparicio.
So Mark Aparicio back in the center of the cage as we get our fighters ready for our second fight of the night here at the School of Hard Knocks 21. And Jeremy, Corey Atkinson coming out and stomping the center of the cage as you saw there earlier. But Danny Heathen just out of camera when he stomped in the cage in response to indicate he's got a piece of it as well. And both these fighters looking to get going quickly. Heathen going for the takedown and secures it up against the cage.
Well, and Heathen mentioned that he knows that Corey Atkinson's ground game is effective. So it was a nice takedown off of the leg kick, but some good active defense and a nice pass here by Danny Heathen. He's now in a mount position, and let's see what he's able to do from here.
Looks to be lining up Atkinson, and some big bombs being thrown from the top in the early going of this exchange by Danny Heathen.
Yeah, and just it's good patience here shown by Danny Heathen. He's not rushing. He's making sure that he's placing his shots and picking them, trying to control that wrist to be able to create some separation. But good job here by Corey Atkinson trying to actively defend, and a nice turn through there. And now he's got him in a bit of a head and arm position like you would see in a regular little wrestling match.
Yeah, a nice move using the cage to spring off and create the sweep to get Heathen off of him, and still looking for an opening. Heathen still has his back and now manages to work back on top. Atkinson's found himself in a little trouble here and looking for the rear naked choke and the finish, although I believe there's an arm in there right now, Jeremy, but looking to finish it off early here in round number 1 is Heathen.
Yeah, and being able to threaten something, open something else up. It's the age-old thing of martial arts, which is do something so that your opponent reacts to it, so that you can do something else so your opponent reacts to it, and it's a continuity. And good job by Danny Heathen as he slips in for the rear naked choke, which opens up Corey Atkinson for some strikes. And now back in a mount position is Danny Heathen.
Doing a good job so far in this exchange, though. Corey Atkinson holding down Heathen so he's not able to do much damage. Mark Aparicio looking on, and could be a matter of time before he stands him up, despite the fact he's in the mount. If he doesn't get anything done, he might find himself back on his feet, Jeremy.
Well, the referees try not to do it if a mount position, just because it is so dominant. And great wall walk there by Corey Atkinson, now in the guard. He's on top, and great jiu-jitsu defense being shown here by Atkinson.
Yeah, another wall walk off the to create a sweep and get his opponent back on the bottom. However, unable to do anything from this position so far, and really had trouble with it the last time as well. And just 10 seconds remaining now in round number 1 as Danny Heathen finds himself holding on to Corey Atkinson, trying to prevent any damage. Couple of slams there, and that is the end of the first round, as Danny Heathen will head back to the corner as well as Corey Atkinson, and they'll both look for it. And here you can see on the replay, I believe we might get one of the slams here that ended the first round. Probably a little too late for Atkinson, though, Jeremy.
Yeah, what Atkinson needs to be able to do is he needs to get his arms free. He needs to focus on one at a time. This isn't doing anything in the judges' minds other than positioning. I think that Heathen did a good job winning that first round. Of course, you never want to guess what the judges are saying, but he needs to work on isolating and freeing one of his arms and then freeing the other once it's done. Great job by Danny Heathen holding him down.
A little bit of damage there just to the side of the eye of Corey Atkinson as he gets ready for round number 2. And we see Heathen's corner just cleaning up some water there.
or his feet, cleaning his feet. That's really nice of a corner to do that every once in a while.
A little bit of a Heathen trying to maybe intimidate his opponent. 90 seconds between rounds for our amateurs tonight. 3 3-minute rounds. Looks like we're ready to go here. Just a couple seconds remaining in the break, and we are underway for round number 2 of fight number 2 on the Hard Knocks 21 card.
Oh, big head kick attempt there by Corey Atkinson. And trying to use his legs like he did in the early part. Nice swinging uppercut, but I don't think it caught. And this is another problem I have where you come into contact and then you try and do a takedown of something you're not successful or you're not capable of doing. Those throws from standing position where you end up going backwards and your opponent goes over top are very low success. And it's something that is vastly used in MMA, and almost every single time you end up on your back with your opponent on top of you.
Well, it really seemed there that he might have been trying to pull guard intentionally, get off his feet, knowing that the striking really worked out in the favor of Heathen once before. But at the end of the day, he's given up a dominant position to an opponent that really had success against him on the ground in the first round. Might not have been the wisest choice.
Well, I don't think it's ever a wise choice to give up a dominant position. Sure, I might want the fight on the ground too, but I want to take the fight to the ground with me on top. The submissions aren't as plentiful from the top as they are from the bottom, but I can still punch a guy and be effective damage and then perhaps land one of those submissions from the top, like an armbar, like a Kimura. So, again, I question the strategy here by Corey Atkinson if he, in fact, did pull guard, but Danny Heathen is willing and able and happy to end up in that position.
Heathen trying to posture up, Atkinson trying to roll out of it, and does, and now gets Heathen's back, so it jumps on and tries to get as much as he can now, and he looks for an opening for a submission, probably a choke from this angle.
Yeah, it's more important that you get your hooks in, and this is where you're seeing a problem right now, although they might switch to an armbar, and there it is. He's got him in an armbar, and we'll see here if Heathen can hold on. It's important to really put some pressure down, and he does get the tap out, so Heathen is going to lose this one. Atkinson gets his revenge, and he's going to push his record to 4-4 as an amateur.
Well, Jeremy, it was just a matter of time for Atkinson. Once he got a hold of that arm, he just started cranking it until there was no comeback. And Heathen tried as he might to pick up Atkinson. It looked like he was looking for a slam at one point, but was unable to do so and finds himself on the wrong end of the armbar.
And we're going to see a replay here. Now, it looks like he's trying for the armbar here, and when Heathen rolled through, all that did is it created the space for Atkinson to get the armbar. He's got it in tight, thumb pointing up in the air, and as soon as he hips in, that's when you see the tap. Excellent job, and you could see Atkinson at the end of that replay really was excited about the fact that he was able to avenge that loss.
And now, the official decision brought to you by DNL Hot Shots. The winner by tap out via armbar. In the red corner, Corey Atkinson!
Corey, I'll get you here center of the cage. Looked like you were in tough there first round and the beginning of the second round, but you battled through.
Yeah, he's a tough guy, you know. He just could never give up in this sport, though. That's off to him.
So it looks like he got you with a cut on the eye. Can you tell us what happened in round 1 here?
I believe that was right at the start when he got on top of me, just a few ground pounds. Sneaked through and really drained me, but you know,
You told me before the fight tonight that you're a submission specialist, and got to add to that resume a little tonight.
Quote, I said I was soon to be submission specialist, but I'm working.
So 4 submission wins, looks like we'll be able to see it in the Hard Knocks cage again.
I hope so, man.
And you got some coaches and sponsors to thank?
Yeah, plus out Fightwear, Humboldt Taekwondo, Damon, my family, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, one more time for your winner.
To find out more about Hard Knocks Fighting and upcoming Hard Knocks events, please visit hardknocksfighting.com.
This School of Hard Knocks fight is in the 160-pound weight division and is brought to you by Signal Direct. And now, let's meet the fighters. Please welcome Lyle Clearsky.
Lyle Clearsky comes to us out of Weway-Sikapo, Manitoba, out of Weway MMA, 155-pound weight class, 38 years old, and making his 5th fight 0-4 as an amateur thus far, and likes to get into the game.
Yeah, and you have to give credit to a guy for not quitting after 4 losses. You can see a lot of people, if they lost 4 times in a row, might decide it's not for them. He's learned, though, has Lyle, that he maybe shouldn't fight jiu-jitsu guys. That's what ends up being his problem more often than not, and it's always a submission or choke that ends the fight.
Yeah, so far, like you mentioned, Jeremy, all submissions and chokes in his fight so far, and this may be a retirement fight for Lyle. I spoke to him at the weigh-ins last night. He said that should he not be victorious tonight against Nick Granbois, then he won't be returning to the cage because he'll have discovered that an 0-5 record will be enough to push him over the edge. So could be the last time we see Lyle Clearsky. Again, stands at 5'10", 38 years old, and has no problem taking a fight last minute either.
Yeah, he took his first fight on 2 days' notice and always stays in good shape. So, good fighter here in Lyle Clearsky.
And this is Nick Granbois.
So Nick Granbois comes down to the cage out of Kenora, Ontario. The United Fighter MMA fighter fighting under the tutelage of Jesse the Water Bongfeld, a former UFC veteran, and now runs the United Fighter gym out of Kenora. And Nick had an interesting story. The last time we saw him, he was fighting while his wife was giving birth, and I don't mean that, like, you know, it happened a little while later. It was the day of the fight that he had a son born, and now that he says that now that a baby's not on the way, he can focus a little more on fighting and a little less on his impending child's arrival, and says that he can focus a little more tonight.
Well, you can understand how your focus might be going when your first child is being born. But you look at Nick Granbois here. He's a judo fighter. He's been in judo for 8 years. He traveled abroad and went to Thailand and studied Muay Thai and kickboxing there. And his dad was a fighter, a boxer and a wrestler. So good fighting genetics coming down here for Nick Granbois.
Yeah, again, 0-2 is Nick Granbois, and says that he didn't really mind the last loss because his mind wasn't on the fight. Says his mind's a lot more on the fight tonight. You can see him trying to get a little love from the Estevan crowd here. And now for the official introductions, we'll go to Doug Denance.
And now, the official fighter introductions. First, fighting out of the Power Dodge blue corner. With a record of 0-4, he weighed in at 158 pounds. Fighting out of Weiwei MMA in Weiwei Zikabo, Manitoba. Please welcome Hard Knocks fighter, Lyle Clear Sky! And his opponent in the Boston Pizza red corner. With a record of 0-2, he weighed in at 155 pounds. Fighting out of United Fighter MMA in Kenora, Ontario, please welcome Hard Knocks fighter, Nick Grandbois! The referee in charge of the Hard Knocks action is Mark Aparicio.
So Grandbois in the red corner, Clear Sky in the blue corner, as we get set for our third fight of the night, the School of Hard Knocks 21 from Estevan, Saskatchewan, and we are underway. The fighters touch gloves in what will be the first win for either of these fighters as they get set, and an early leg kick goes unchecked, and that kick went unchecked, and it got through to the face, Jim.
Yeah, huge kick there by Nick Grandbois, and there's another straight punch that lands. So accuracy, not a problem, but coming forward is Lyle Clear Sky, seemingly not afraid of mixing it up.
Well, and it's interesting. It looked like he was almost trying to secure a takedown, and we know by his own admission, not a ground guy. So you got to wonder how hard those punches from Grandbois were, if he's willing to exchange and head up against the cage and potentially go to the ground.
Well, if you take a guy down and land on top of him, if you're a striker, that's a good place to be as well. That's for sure. Being pushed in, some nice knees. You can see the Muay Thai training there, trying to pass with an underhook. A nice knee, a little high there. Once again, we don't have any knees or elbows to the head at any time, standing or on the ground here, the rules in Estevan. So Lyle Clear Sky is going to have to watch that that knee doesn't get up an extra inch.
So Grandbois in the white, Clear Sky in the black. Big swing and a miss there from Clear Sky, and Grandbois tries to attack and jump on his back. He's got a choke. It's not in too deep yet, but they are on the ground, and it's not a tap yet, and it is a tap now. The referee calling the fight, not the quick succession of taps that you normally see there, Jeremy, but I'm sure that Lyle Clear Sky would agree that he was in a bad spot and he wasn't coming out of it.
Well, and Mark Aparicio is an excellent official, and he's going to be watching there, and he's going to be asking, is that a tap? Is that a tap? Is that a tap? And you can tell that he did that there, and good job there by Aparicio to protect the athlete who might not have been protecting himself. But give it up, and you can tell how excited Nick Grandbois is to finally have his first win, and going to push his record to 1-2. A little bit of blood coming out of the mouth, and getting some congratulations from his coach. This ends up being Lyle Clear Sky's last fight. Good career for him. Unfortunately, not able to secure a win, but sometimes it's just about getting in the fight that matters.
A little bit of incredible Hulk action there in the corner.
Don't make him angry.
Nick Grandbois calling out the Ultimate Fighter. May need to put a couple more wins on the board before they come calling.
Yeah, he's going to have to switch to a little bit of professional wins as well. So here's the big swing, and seeing his opportunity is Nick Grandbois, and he's securing that rear naked choke in. And unfortunately, another loss by submission goes to Lyle Clear Sky, and you can see Mark Aparicio was making sure that he was in good shape, and again, a great win there by Grandbois. He wins his first one, and it looks like we have the official decision with Doug Denance, who is in the center of the cage.
A special thank you goes out to the Days Inn, the official Hard Knocks hotel for fighters and out-of-town guests. The generosity with rooms for our Hard Knocks fighters, our staff, and our fans is greatly appreciated. And now, the official decision brought to you by Signal Direct. The winner by tap out with rear naked choke in the red corner, Nick Grandbois!
So Grandbois wins his first amateur fight. He's in the center of the cage with
Nick,
Ryan.
I won't keep you long.
when we talked to you today, you said that what would change about you between this afternoon and tonight, would there be one in the win column? You certainly came out and proved that.
Oh, hell yeah, man. I came out here, I worked hard. My last showing it here, I got choked out, jumped the triangle. This time, I worked my ass off. I got two of the best coaches in Northwestern Ontario. United Fighter, the best, man.
And I'm sure you got some sponsors to thank too. I won't keep you long, we'll get you back to the doctor. So you got sponsors?
No, I'd like some though.
So if you're out there and you're looking, Nick Granbois is your winner and he's looking for sponsors. Let's hear it one more time for him, Nick Granbois.
Find out more about Hard Knocks Fighting and upcoming Hard Knocks events. Please visit hardknocksfighting.com.
This School of Hard Knocks flag is in the 170-pound weight division and is brought to you by HK21 Gear. And now, let's meet the fighters! First, welcome, Ryan Starkle.
Ryan Starkle comes down to the cage out of Ultimate Muay Thai in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Weighed in at just around 170 pounds last night, making his amateur debut. And Jeremy, nerves definitely a factor when a fighter's making his debut.
Well, they normally are, and a lot of times, as we see here with Ryan Starkle as he's coming out, the fighters will put on a little bit of an air and showing his Winnipeg Jets and a nice little star on the head there. And sometimes you have to put on this bravado to be able to show that you're ready for the fight. And sometimes you're psyching your opponent out, sometimes you're psyching yourself out in a positive way, that is.
Yeah, again, Ryan Starkle coming down with the star carved right into the hair on his head. Little Kid Rock action, had the glasses and cowboy hat. Really, he's got the walkout.
He's got that down. He's got it down.
Of being an MMA fighter down so far. So one can only hope that when he gets in the cage, he's as successful in the cage as he has been in getting to the cage. And as a Muay Thai fighter, of course, we can certainly expect him to be standing up as much as possible and looking for this fight to stay on his feet as long as he can.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ryan Starkle, again, his opponent, Zach Bowdrin, coming all the way from Thunder Bay. Basically, it's he's getting set up to enforce his own game plan on Bowdrin, and hopefully coming forward he can do that. You can see how excited
And his opponent, Zach Bowdrin.
So like you mentioned, Jeremy, Zach Bowdrin coming to us from Thunder Bay, Ontario, out of Thunder Valley Mixed Martial Arts. Also 170 pounds, just 19 years old, standing 6'4", so he'll have a significant height and reach advantage over Ryan Starkle at 170. 6'4" is pretty tall for a 170 fighter.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know how much he ended up cutting to get down to this weight. But again, even if he cut down 20 pounds, 6'4" and 190 is still pretty tall for that amount of weight. So we'll see if he can use that length to his advantage. And he was a purple belt in Taekwondo, and now he wants to transition that Taekwondo experience into Muay Thai that he's taking now.
Yeah, both fighters with a bit of a Muay Thai and striking background, so we might be able to see a fight that primarily is standing, which would be a change from what we've seen so far in the first three fights, which have primarily gone to the ground. It's interesting talking to fighters when they're making their debut or they're fighting someone making their debut. We've got a lot of fighters who say that they would rather not see the game tape on their opponent so as to not mess with their system, to not mess with their training. But Zach's one of those guys that is on the opposite side of the spectrum. He really was rather upset that he couldn't see any fights from his opponents, and that there was no tape on Ryan Starkhill, because he figures any tape is an advantage, even if you have to look at it and say, okay, well, he's probably better at this than, or his coaches have noticed that. It may give you an idea of how hard a guy can hit or how quick his fists come. Not necessarily game planning, but the ability to look at and study his opponent and figure him out. Just a little technical skill.
Well, it's definitely an advantage to have a game plan, and that's what your coaches are for, so we'll see how it goes. Here's Doug Nance.
Fighting out of the Power Dodge Blue Corner, making his debut at 164 pounds. Fighting out of Ultimate Blue Pie in Winnipeg, please welcome Hard Knocks fighter, Ryan Starkhill! And fighting out of the Boston Pizza Red Corner, making his debut at 170 pounds. Fighting out of Thunder Valley Martial Arts in Thunder Bay, Ontario, please welcome Hard Knocks fighter, Zach Wandrin. The referee in charge of the Hard Knocks action is Mark Aparicio.
So Mark Aparicio back in charge in the center of the cage. All the doors are closed, the fighters are ready, and we are underway with our fourth fight of the night from the Hard Knocks 21 from Estevan, Saskatchewan. An early flurry by both fighters and a nice takedown there by Starkhill.
Yeah, but a nice transfer over by Valdrin and able to grab his head, and now he's got his head all alone. Now, I'm concerned about how fast Starkhill's come out, and we don't know much about his conditioning. We haven't seen him fight before, but it's known that if you come out really flying hard, and here's a possibility of a rear naked choke here by Starkhill.
Now, I think, Jeremy, he's got to get his body back around the other side. If you look right now, he's kind of got more of the upper arm underneath the neck, needs to get that forearm and elbow underneath if he wants to be successful from that position.
But using an opportunity to have a good position to land some strikes to the back there. Continuing on, and again, this is a torrid pace coming out to start the fight, even though we ended up on the ground.
And now into a mount position is Starkhill, as Valdrin looks to have rolled over, and as a result, no choke available, but not afraid to punch from the top is the Muay Thai fighter Ryan Starkhill.
Yeah, and you'll see the advantage of having these big, long legs. If he's able to get around and get an arm of Starkhill, he'll be able to definitely try a submission from there. But Starkhill doing a very good job landing shots, remaining busy on top.
So Starkhill continuing to land strikes on top, and Valdrin continuing to try and kind of find an opening to get away from the mounted position he finds himself in. Starkhill again has had this position primarily throughout the majority of round number one. There was a brief moment where Valdrin had rolled him through, but Starkhill continued rolling and found himself with a choke that he had to give up, and since then has been landing strikes to the body primarily, although a couple now to the head of his opponent, Zach Valdrin, as both of these fighters look to get a win in their amateur debut.
Yeah, it's still being effective on the ground. Good defense here by Valdrin. He's not taking significant damage here. These punches there's a nice one that landed on the top of the head, and just trying to get out and try something new as Valdrin, as he ends up stuck underneath the mount of Ryan Starkhill.
So again, Starkhill on top of Valdrin, trying to wall walk, and does get over, but a nice transition there from Starkel to stay on top, and now he has Valdrin's back, although not, just content to now go into a side control position and drop a knee and continue to stay on top and look for an opening, trying to slide in that choke, and it looks like he might have it, Jeremy, as the tap has happened. Starkel is your winner by rear naked choke. Zach Valdrin will fall to 0-1, and Starkel tops the cage to celebrate.
Yeah, and a nice little fall there. I don't know if I want to fall from the top of the cage and land on my butt, but there was only 1 second, maybe 2 seconds left in that round, so it's unfortunate that Valdrin wasn't able to hold on to be able to force in one, but good bleeding nose there, tripping fairly well, and running around the cage is Starkel, so he wins his amateur debut, and again, this is in the 170-pound class.
So Starkel with his coach there, successful in his first MMA fight, and we'll just now need to wait for the official time of the decision, although Starkel gets a little bit of a dance there in the center of the cage.
And getting some guidance from his coaches, Zach Valdrin, looking to perhaps go to the drawing board, put a little bit of size onto that large frame, and continue to go forward. Definitely not short for dancing moves is Ryan Starkel. Looks like we have the official decision in the center of the cage with Doug Denantz.
And now, the official decision brought to you by XS4 Gear. At 1 second remaining of the first round, the winner with tap out by a rear naked choke in the blue corner, Ryan Starkel!
Starkel wins his amateur debut. He's with Ryan at the center of the cage.
Ryan, I'll get you here, center of the cage. First, congratulations on the win, but I need to ask you, I'll get you to look into the camera here, I need to ask you, what's going on up top?
I want to get noticed. I'm going to do what it takes to get noticed because I'm going to the top.
So he gets noticed for the haircut, but I'm sure you'll get noticed for the tap out. 1 second left in round one.
Anything necessary, my friend, I'm going to make it happen.
I'm sure you got some sponsors and coaches to thank.
I got friends and family. I sold 3 tables here. We're all here supporting me from Winnipeg. I got people back home watching us live on TV. And don't stop now, this is only the start. Hold on. All the Muay Thai, my coach Brian Kelly. He is the shit. The best man, he doesn't really care about me in the cage, but he cares about me outside the cage as well. He's a great man.
One more time for your winner, ladies and gentlemen, Ryan Starkel.